The championship heads down to just outside of Melbourne and one of the fastest and most spectacular circuits in the world, Phillip Island. Sweeping corners, oceanside winds, and zero margin for error set the stage for round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech GT Pro Sports Car Challenge. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod. And tonight, filling in for Jonathan Grabowski, give a warm welcome, everybody, to Sam Fitzpatrick, who's going to be giving you all the best views of tonight's action here on Apex Racing TV. This weekend is unique on the calendar. Phillip Island is the only round made up of 2 30-minute sprint races, meaning no time to settle in, no long run strategy, just flat out racing from the moment the lights go out tonight, and with a special twist. And Larry and I will tell you a little bit more about that as we get into tonight's broadcast. And so last time out, 2 weeks ago at Spa, the battles were fierce. In LMP3, João de Gregorio of Rosso Esports delivered a composed drive, holding off round 1 winner Zach Hebert to take the victory, while in GT3, Neil Weston charged forward from third in class to win for HTPK in his BMW M4 GT3 Evo. And in GT4, it was an Orion team showdown as Robert Hartley fended off teammates Travis Schwenke and our pole sitter Mike Dam to claim the win. But now it's all about Phillip Island, high-speed commitment, relentless rhythm, and 2 chances, Larry, to get it all right.
You said there's a twist. I thought there'd be ice cream, but no. But it is two chances tonight. Maybe that's the twist. It's like chocolate
lemon
vanilla
twist,
ice cream
Larry.
Twisted together. Tonight our twist is race 1, race 2, and that's going to be exciting. But it's Phillip Island. Who doesn't love Phillip Island? If you're not familiar with it, shame on you.
Shame.
It is definitely one of the best gems of the land down under. It is a fantastic racetrack. It's small, but it's mighty, creates wonderful racing, and I think these 30-minute sprints are going to be showing off exactly how that is. We've got contested classes. You talked about the GT4 battle with all those Orion teammates, the GT3 battles, multiple race winners there, and of course the prototypes trying to somehow squeeze between all of them. I'm looking forward to it, but especially when the land down under goes upside down for second race. Is that the twist you're talking about?
That might be the twist, Larry.
Yes, the second race will be the same as the first, but we're going to invert the finishing order for our grid for the second race. So if you thought that one race is great, when do you see that second one when the fast one of the first race gets to start from the back? What other way would we do this here on a Monday night here in our wonderful Ricmotech series, Greg?
Yeah, I can't think of a better way to do it, Larry. So let's do this as we go on board now with Pan Hirde in his LMP3 car for Lead Paw Racing, his LMP3 Ligier, trying to put in his first valid flying lap. He's currently working lap number 3, and we give all of our racers 4 flying laps to set their fastest laps in qualifying and set the grid for tonight's first of 2 30-minute races. And like all of our LMP3 Ligers, they're going to have the orange number boards on the sides of the cars and on the nose and the windshield banners, and you've heard me tell you about this over and over and over again. And this season, new in the GT Pro Sports Car Challenge, we've got not only the GT4 racers, but we've got some GT3 racers made up primarily of our GT3 AM racers from the World Challenge. And right now, believe almost all of them have turned in their 4 flying laps. So I can't show you a single driver, but the GT3 racers, they're going to have the green number boards on the sides of their car. Probably the GT4 racers are going to have the green number boards on the sides of their cars. GT4 will have the Ricmotech red on the sides of their cars. And Pan Hirde, he is our only racer out on track. And he is looking right now, our provisional pole time in LMP3 set by João de Gregorio, your winner from 2 weeks ago in his Rosso Esports Ligier. He turned in a 1:23.63. And Hirde turns in on his first good lap, a 1:25.94. That is good for 6th out of 6, Larry.
Yeah, it is definitely a tough field here tonight, and it's going to be tough fighting. But Hirde is going to have a shot here, at least starting in that front 6. We do have split starts among these 3 classes, so he doesn't have to start at the back of the field. Nothing like that. He'll be right there in row 3 so far in these prototypes.
All right. Well, let's do this. We've got a little time, Larry, and I don't see our tonight's scheduled guest in the green room yet. So let's take a look. This is with 2 2 rounds in the books currently. We don't start showing dropped rounds until after tonight. And this is a short season, only 5 rounds total, in which we're giving our drivers one race that they can drop. Zach Hebert from Echelon Simsport is currently your points leader, with Robert Schwenkler from The Wrong Stuff sitting 7 points back. Now, interestingly, if we look all the way down in 7th position, Alex Crow, who's scheduled to be our interview guest tonight, running for Majors Esport, he only has 63 points in the books. And Larry, he was our round 1 winner in LMP3, did not race 2 weeks ago at Spa. And so that Spa round obviously going to be his one drop. We'll see how he does here tonight. And actually, I don't think he's going to be doing very well and we probably won't see him in the green room because I don't see him in our timing and scoring system. Let's take a look at the points over in GT4, where it is Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke with 126 points. Robert Hartley, our round 2 winner, with 123. And Larry, it's interesting looking at that because Hartley won round 2, Schwenke finished 2nd, Mike Dam finished 3rd, but for the prior round 1, it was Dam with the win, Schwenke 2nd, and Robert Hartley 3rd. And the reason why Dam and Schwenke are currently tied is due to bonus points for whether it be leading laps or getting on pole or showing up for practice sessions. Dan Carrillo from WBM Racing currently sitting 4th, where he's finished 2 rounds in a row. Let's look over now at GT3, as we have about 30 seconds before the clock expires.
We're calling the race too.
Absolutely. We're gonna call the races from the boat offshore there. Noah Hogg from Velocity Motorsports is your points leader. He's got a 4-point advantage over round 2 winner Neil Weston from HDPK Racing. Aaron Sunday from OHND, and by the way, thank you everybody from OHND, for Rachel in particular for donating almost every single broadcast. So thanks so much. And then Dale Maxwell for Slow Bros, currently sitting 4th in the championship. As the clock expires in qualifying here, Larry, and our racers now, for the first time for us, we're going to be watching them as they head to the grid for tonight's first of 2 races. Why don't you run down the prototypes and I'll grab the GT cars.
Sure thing. On the pole tonight in the prototypes, those LMP3s. It is from, there it is. It's from Rosso Esport, is João Di Gregorio. On the outside of row 1, it's going to be our entry from The Wrong Stuff. It is Robert Schwenkler. Row 2 in the inside, we've got Zach Hebert. And on the outside is going to be HSR Phantoms, Josh Vidal. Row 3, another one of the SRT Esport entries, Kyle Strikers. And he'll be alongside Leadpaw Racing's Pan Hiraday.
All right, let's take a look now at our GT3 racers. Starting on pole tonight for Leadpaw Racing, it's Chris Hampton with Neil Weston, our winner 2 weeks ago for HGPK Racing. Starting on the inside of row number 1, Noah Hogg from Velocity Motorsports will start on the inside of row number 2 alongside Aaron Sunday, who starts 4th. Doug Klimovich will start in 4th position for Slow Bros Racing, right alongside Frito Sport Racing's Greg Brockway, who will start 5th. And we've got Doug Klimovich from Slow Bros starting alongside John Casey, and rounding out our GT3 field, it's Dale Maxwell for Slow Bros Racing. Now moving over to GT4, where Travis Schwenke from the Orion Race Team will start right alongside his teammate Mike Dam in their Porsche Cayman GT4 RS Club Sports. Dan Carrillo will start on the inside of row number 2 in 3rd position, right alongside Robert Hartley from Orion, and those 2 racers also in the Caymans. And then we've got Doug Klimovich from Slow Bros Racing, David Klimovich from Slow Bros Racing, starting alongside Jeff Jacobs from the SCCA Foundation. Jacobs, the first driver not in a Porsche, he is racing in one of the Aston Martin chassis, the number 38 car. And then rounding out the 7-car GT4 field tonight, racing for Flying Tortoise Motorsports, it's Russ Ruddick.
Yeah, the split starts will be interesting. Got a good size separate groups here. Each class will be fighting it out amongst themselves. And as Greg and I mentioned already, two 30-minute sprints here, 30 minutes once through. So if somebody has a bad start, gets to the back, well, they may be starting from the front in the second of our 2 runs tonight. So that'll be the exciting thing. And yeah, I kind of wish they would do an overall invert. You know, put the LMP3s
put the LMP3s all the way at the back. Absolutely.
Behind the GT3s and GT4s, but I don't think that's going to happen. They don't take my vote into account. But we do have a couple of good groups here. This should be a lot of fun. This track definitely races well. And when I say that, it means you can go past, you can get side by side through turn 1, through the long left-hander turn 2. You're going to see a lot of side by side, maybe even here as we're on board here with Russ Ruddock into the hairpin and the subsequent turnaround. Those 2 corners, definitely you can get some side by side action. Very exciting racetrack. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and of course, as you said, you could certainly do it into the first hairpin in the Honda corner. Perhaps turn 10, the second hairpin, which is a downhill beast. Well, certainly for cars that don't have ABS, which probably isn't going to affect these folks. As Chris Hampton, who was our pole sitter in GT3, just ran off track, and look at that, Neil Weston holding up the field to allow him back on track.
That's nice of them to do. Yeah, that's what happens. They have super cold tires, trying to get them warmed up. That didn't work so well. As we're back on board with Russ Ruddock here through that final turnaround. And of course, João de Gregorio on pole tonight in our prototypes. He's got the advantage into turn 1. They'll do it side by side. We'll see. These guys often, cold tires is a thing for them as well.
All right, as our LMP3 racers come out of the final corner at a turn 12 onto the front straight, green flag is in the air. Our real life starter provided by the SCCA Foundation gives the command to go, and jumping out to an early lead, it is Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff with Josh Vidal sliding in the second as our GT3 racers now take the green flag, and we'll check in with them in just a moment. There they are now making the run down as Neil Weston's got a nose up on Chris Hampton.
Oh, there's contact in the second row.
Oh, yes, there is. As Hogg and Aaron Sunday might have touched there, coming through, and now change of position as our GT4 racers now made up of the 2 Orion drivers on the front row head down into turn 1. Mike Dam taking the early lead away from pole sitter Travis Schwenke. Dan Carrizo, Robert Hartley door to door now as they come through the sweeping turn 2 and now heading towards that hairpin towards Honda corner.
Yeah, a lot of activity happened there. You can see it through turn 1. Every class had side-by-sides. Absolutely crazy. When you're looking at de Gregorio, again, he was our pole sitter. You can see he's already been shuffled back a little bit in the ranking as Schwenkler's got the lead just over Hebert and Vidal. De Gregorio down to 4th. Schwenkler, though, looks like we're going to be taking a look at an incident there. A couple of cars here already early on.
Yeah, Panhirade now has gone down the pit lane to take service, and as you saw the notice on screen, we've got our stewards already looking at reviewing that lap 1 incident, Larry, as we have Schwenkler and Zach Hebert door to door now as they start lap number 2, and sweeping around the outside there is Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff. Hebert, though, comes right back at him as they go through and into that slight little bend over at turn number 3. Great run there, and now we'll jump over to the battle for the lead in GT3, where Hogg has got he managed to sneak by Neil Weston here early on, and these 2 racers already starting to open up a couple car lengths on Aaron Sunday and Greg Brockway, with Chris Hampton, our pole sitter in GT3, Larry, now falling back in the 5th position.
Yeah, great start for Noah Hogg. He had actually had that early touch. I believe it might have been with Sunday, I'm not sure, but either way, he's got himself up to the front of the field there in these GT3s, so good moving for him. Just want to go back real quick. We'd seen temporarily the black flag held out there for Robert Schwenkler. That has been cleared. Don't know what that was. Doesn't matter. Race continues. And then we've got a incident under evaluation. We talked about Panhirade. He's in the number 25. The incident they're investigating is with Kyle Strikers, who's currently 5th. You can see him 10 seconds behind the rest of the LMP3 field. That's what the marshals are looking at. We'll see what they have to say. But for now, racing continues. The front 4, Hebert, Schwenkler, Vidal, and de Gregorio. And look at João down the inside of Vidal in through turn 1, and he's going to get that spot back as he works his way back up to Schwenkler and Hebert, who have swapped positions. Hebert now in the lead.
Great run early on. Now, Larry, I'm wondering in that incident between Strikers and Pan Hirday, you know, of course, this season for season number 10, if you get into a turn 1 incident and you're given responsibility, it means an end of line start for the next race.
You think that means second race tonight?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does that mean later tonight? And if you get end of line, does that put you on pole?
Maybe. Well, let's take a look.
All right, let's take a look and see what happened here with Schwenkler and Pan Hirday.
Yeah, so this is the start. So I think Schwenkler, actually, the reason this goes back to the black flag, Schwenkler may have been ahead of Di Gregorio, and that's why the system defaulted, give him a black flag. That's also why they cleared it. It looked like Di Gregorio just didn't go when he was told to go. That's why they cleared it. No big deal. Now we continue to watch. We'll see the contact out there, likely between Strikers and Hirday at the back of the field. Strikers, of course, in the SRT Esport green livery there, and Hirday is behind him, but maybe we'll catch it here. Oh, Strikers a little bit slow to get off the line. That may have been part of his issue. But we've got Strikers continuing his on board. He's got Hirday behind him, and Hirday gets into the back of him. Oof. Yeah. That's what they're looking at, and I have a feeling they're going to be talking to Mr. Hirday about his breaking point going into that turn. Yeah. That looked like Strikers may have been the victim in that one.
All right, let's jump back to live action with Noah Hogg, your leader. And now, Larry, as we work lap number 4, Hogg in his Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car has managed to separate out just a slight bit from Neil Weston's HTPK. Let's take a look here as Weston had the lead for a moment. And here is Hogg sneaking underneath. Is this going through turn 2, it looks like?
No, that's just going up the front straight.
Yeah, it's coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, that's Hogg getting a great run out of that turn 10, little downhill hairpin, gets the advantage, gets better grip coming out of 11 and all the way down the front straight. He's now, you can see, he's got a couple car lengths on Weston. So we know Weston historically has been a very good competitor long run, but tonight only 30-minute races. Maybe it's not long enough. We'll just see if he can stick with Hogg, who's already out to nearly 1 second advantage. The surprise to me is if you look down here, is, you know, Hampton now 5 seconds back of the lead. Really struggling here in these opening laps on those cold tires.
Yeah, obviously the scrubbing them in on the pace lap didn't help them all that much. And when I say scrubbing in, I mean by understeering right off the track. Zach Hebert, your leader in LMP3, under attack by both Robert Schwenkler and João Di Gregorio now. As they come out of turn 6 and make that run down to Lukey Heights. Now they're going to come down and they're going to drop down into this downhill hairpin here momentarily. Or not.
Got to make the run. Now
I just forgot my left and my right, Larry. There we go. As they come out and now down into turn 10.
Yeah. And this is such a critical, to me, the most critical corner on the track, because it is followed by the longest wide open throttle as you go all the way around 11, 12, and down the front straight. Really critical to get a great dig out of turn 10. And you're seeing Schwenkler looks like he's got a fantastic run going. There is a draft. It does advantage the second car. Look at Schwenkler with that run now. Di Gregorio is going to try and stay in it. He's not too far behind them, but I think right here, side by side through one, Schwenkler on the outside. If he can hold it, he'll have the inside for turn 2, but there's GT4s in his way.
The GT4 traffic as they come up on Jeff Jacobs through turn 1. And just ahead, there is Russ Ruddock from Flying Tortoise Motorsports to really complicate things for our top 3 runners for Hebert, Schwenkler, and Di Gregorio.
Yeah, Schwenkler had a good run going, but I think having Jeff Jacobs there blocked his road just a little bit. Hebert taking advantage of the GT4 pick. Now he's got that line, but he's got a pair of Porsches that he's got to deal with right up there in front of him. That looks like David Klimovich be one of them, but I think Dan Carrito might be the other.
Carrito with WBM Racing just ahead.
Yeah. So Hebert gets a decent exit. Now you see this is the challenge of multi-class racing going through here, but this is a decent track for within your class to race side by side, and it's also pretty good for getting by multi-class racing. So it's not the longest track, but you can see how well there's tons of placement for the prototypes to get around the GT4s.
Yeah, indeed. And as a GT4 driver, if you do step offline to allow that faster traffic through, you don't lose that much momentum, and you can still, if necessary, defend against a car that might be carrying a little bit more pace from you than you right behind, as we saw Dan Carrillo hold off David Klimovich.
Well, watch Di Gregorio here. He's in the Rosso Esport entry in the prototypes. He's got a good run in the draft behind Schwenkler. Maybe he's taking his time here, deciding to wait maybe another lap, because that is your best passing zone. But you can also do it once you come around this long, sweeping, cresting turn 2. You can get a pass up into the hairpin at turn 4. We'll see if Schwenkler tries a move up there at Hebert, or if they stay in line one more time through.
All right, Larry, and Pin here today just commented in the chat and said he had an issue with his computer. Blanked out right before he got into the corner. He's staying in the pits to try and get his monitor issues fixed up. It looks like he and I were having the exact same issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he had to take Chester Goodger's advice of what he's suggesting Neil Weston has. There's a bunch of helium in the car, in the cockpit. That might actually help. I don't know, Pan, if that would help you or not, but Chester's got some tips. You can give it a shot. Try a little helium. Pan Hirday's teammate now, Chris Hampton, in that McLaren. Right. He was our pole sitter, dropped back to 5th. Look at him, 8 seconds now behind the leader in class. That's a pretty big gap here for the pole sitters. I'm not sure what issues he's having.
And Larry, I think we have 7 Sundays a week now. Is Zandy Novak says, I know nothing about racing, but I got to support Dad. OHND Aaron, let's go. So good to have you there, Zandy Novak. Thanks for jumping in as the 3 Orion teammates. Larry, how much is it going to throw things off if Travis Schwenke takes both wins tonight?
Perfect. So yes. Yeah, going back to the point standings, we did talk about in this how they all finished in one order the opening round, and they finished in the opposite order in the next round. But now it's Schwenke in the middle of this, can't seem to get one of those wins. Maybe tonight's his night. We'll see if they can come up with the third of 3 combinations of where Orion's can just. If you add up the total time delta at the finish line between them in 2 races, I think you're at like 2 seconds.
2 seconds max, yeah.
Yeah, at the most. First to third has been a second each race. It's amazing watching these guys. Trust me, it's not just coordinated. They're not just doing this for a beautiful photo op. They are racing as hard as they can. They're all just very equally matched in obviously the same car, and likely all of them on Travis Schwenke's equal setup. That's how they do it. But last time it was Robert Hartley who was able to come away with that win at Spa. First time we had seen him in Victory Circle in quite a while, so it was good to have him back there. But we have not seen Schwenke in Victory Circle in a long time.
And Larry, if you remember 2 weeks ago at Spa, I believe it was Mike Dam leading and had an off, and they inverted the order again. Travis Schwenke, the one constant is Schwenke seems perpetually stuck in second place.
Yeah, they did. There was a couple of offs there that really played into the favor of Robert Hartley. He took advantage of it. Schwenke, though, has got to find his opportunities tonight as we check in with our GT4s here. So further down the order, we talked about the top 3. Started on Carino and Klimovich. And then, of course, this Russ Ruddock, Jeff Jacobs battle here between Jeff Jacobs, the Gator, and Russ Ruddock, the Tortoise. You know, got to get the reptile names out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not kidding. It's what they are. I'm sure there's a Gator somewhere on.
I'm sure you're not kidding, Larry.
There it is. It is. It's on the right quarter panel of the rear. There's a Gator there. I'm not kidding. As he's, of course, University of Florida alum.
All right. It looks like John Casey just had some complications there. Had been chasing down Dale Maxwell from had been chasing down Doug Klimovich and ran a little wide. Now falls quite a number of seconds back as Klimovich. They are working against Dale Maxwell. Good to see Maxwell in a GT4 Ford Mustang, as he's been very strong in the GT3 Mustangs over in the World Challenge.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of him yet tonight. OHND's Aaron Sunday, of course, out there. We did mention them earlier, that their fans have been so generous to us here in the chat. Appreciate that with the donations. And but Aaron having a A decent night here tonight. Of course, running up in the top 3 in GT3, a couple seconds ahead of 4th place.
And
Chase down this guy.
That's right. As Chester Guidry points out in the chat, Larry, here comes Neil Weston as we just went on board with the driver of the number 6 HDPK BMW.
You mean Chester Guidry pointing out Neil Weston's mustache has its own iRating?
Yes, that too.
Okay. Make sure
I'm glad to see that because I'd asked Sam before we went on air to not use the headshots and use the helmets. I am so glad that he put that up there.
All right. Well, let's enough about mustaches. Let's talk about this race. Neil Weston and Noah Hogg are side by side for the lead in GT3 into turn 1. Hogg getting defensive. He's hogging the pavement there to try and hold Neil Weston behind him. Weston doing a good job of reacting to make sure he doesn't get caught up in that, but beautiful positioning there for Noah Hogg in the Porsche to hold off the charging BMW.
Yeah, indeed, as Weston was about to try the over-under, and all of a sudden we saw Hogg just move the car about a half a foot over to driver's left, and Weston had to yank the car back in. As again, very good positioning here from Noah Hogg, and knows just where to place that car, maybe a little bit left to center, just slightly offline, and to make things, Larry, as easy as you said it is, to side-by-side race here at Phillip Island. Yeah, it depends. It depends on whether or not another driver wants you to race them side by side. Well, as we go back over here to João de Gregorio here in LMP3.
We saw the example there of Hogg and Weston doing their battles. I would bet Weston's going to probably continue to keep those tires warm and stay close with no Hogg. But João de Gregorio, your pole sitter tonight, of course, as much speed as he's got. He got shuffled back on the opening lap. Now that he's got his tires warm, he's giving all the pressure to Robert Schwenkler in front of him from the wrong stuff. Schwenkler defending very well in this lap as they had gone through turn 2. Now they go up and over turn 9, Lukey Heights, into 10. And let's see who gets the best run out of here. Tell you what, that's a great dig for De Gregorio. You got to use all that curb on driver's right through that downhill. Looks like he did. We'll see if he gets a run down the front straight next time through. Meanwhile, GT3s are having their battles. Led pause Chris Hampton looks like he's got his pace back underway under him. Let's see, he's in that fight with Dale Maxwell from the Slow Bros. Yeah, Maxwell, good pass there to take that position. He'll set his sights now on Greg Brockway.
And Brockway had a great start tonight, Larry. Started right at the tail end of the field and made his way up into 4th position, making up 3 positions, as has Maxwell at this point, who I think started right behind Brockway on the grid.
Oh, we're going to have a move here. De Gregorio going to try to use it. Nope, staying in there.
Look to the inside, no.
Yeah, just teasing the brakes. Alongside at the exit, though, for De Gregorio, really pressuring Schwenkler. Schwenkler, though, not falling for that pressure, doing a good job of holding his line. But Schwenkler, that's the hard thing about being in the middle of this sandwich, in the middle of a 3-way battle. Always tough to hold your position and attack at the same time. Meanwhile, let's take a look at this replay here. Jeff Jacobs trying to get around Russ Ruddock, using a little bit of a draft through the traffic there as they come out of turn 6, are heading up toward 9. Jacobs gets the position.
Gets the pass made. All right, let's jump back over now into GT3 land here, and it's Greg Brockway in the Acura NSX, the sole NSX in the field. Chris Hampton, our pole sitter in his McLaren, trying to slide right underneath Brockway, not able to carry the speed as the track goes back into the other direction. And now Hampton's going to try to take a look underneath the rear wheel drive Acura or Honda. All the while, both of these racers trying to chase down Dale Maxwell from Slow Bros Racing, who now is in 4th position. And Brockway and Hampton once again door to door as Brockway tries to get back in that 4th position, and Hampton from Leadpaw is going to concede the position. He's going to slot in the 6th.
Yeah, good defensive line there for Brockway to hold that going into that hairpin turn 4. We'll see if another opportunity for Hampton comes up a corner or 2 down the road. Meanwhile, Noah Hogg in this class has opened up this lead now. We had seen Neil Weston close it down right up behind him. Look at the ticker there, 2.5, Noah Hogg to Neil Weston. So here with about 13 minutes to go in this first of 2 races, Advantage to Noah Hogg as we take a look now at our LMP3 race. Again, it looks like the lead has been held by Hebert for a while, but behind them, it looks like De Gregorio has gotten an advantage over Schwenkler, and Vidal and Schwenkler may have had a coming together because Vidal's off in the grass and Schwenkler's dropping back quickly. Quick replay. We'll go on board Schwenkler heading up to Lukey Heights. Watch for the left side here. Of course, you got the GT3 car there. That's one of the slow bros. That's where it started.
Just the slightest of touches there, Larry, as he pitted himself. And we got another driver off as well.
That's Vidal, and we had seen the tail end of this in the live shot. Vidal just did a good job to avoid Schwenkler. Unfortunately, he ended up in the grass and had to work his way around. Schwenkler, though, just unfortunate to touch doors there with one of the Klimoviches. They're gonna take a look at this. Yeah, I'll be surprised if there's any penalties given for this because it didn't look like Klimovich made any sort of any move. I think Schwenkler just got a little close. It's tough going up around that long left turn to hold your line, but we'll let the stewards decide.
All right, as we go back to live action now, as Vidal tries to clear a couple of these GT3 racers and makeups for lost time and lost ground.
Well, now the traffic is interesting. Through the GT4s goes your LMP3 leader, Zach Hebert, now with a 1.5 second advantage on João De Gregorio. De Gregorio was in a battle there with Schwenkler. Now he doesn't have that battle. All he's going to do is make his way through these same GT4s and maybe start to put the pressure on Hebert with 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes,
I think the battle could still be in front of us here for LMP3. I'm not going to hand this one to Hebert quite yet. It's a good shot of our Schwenke. You were talking about Schwenke doesn't have a race win yet. He's in the lead now over teammate Robert Hartley.
Maybe Mike Dam was listening to us.
He probably was.
Awfully Canadian of him. Yeah.
I can't believe he's not watching mixed curling tonight.
I'm amazed. or at least replays of the hockey team.
Mixed curling, mixed doubles curling. The U.S. is in the gold medal match, so that's good news if you're an American. Not if you're a Canadian.
Let's take a look and see how Schwenke picked up the lead here from teammate Mike Dam, as Dam just ran very deep, Larry, and Schwenke picks up the position.
Yeah, just a little mistake there for Mike Dam, giving Schwenke an opportunity. Dam isn't too far back, but hey, I talked about De Gregorio. Maybe would have a run. Here he is, only just a couple tenths back, and Hebert now has to hold up because he's got the McLaren of Chris Hampton in front of him. And there's contact behind him. De Gregorio is going to come around.
Larry, as Hampton went to avoid, he got very loose and got that tank slapper, came right across the nose of João De Gregorio. I don't think there's anything De Gregorio could have done there.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, that's obviously a heavy acceleration zone in both of these cars. A little bit too much throttle could easily cause a spin there for De Gregorio, though. Talk about all that work to come from fourth up to second and about to take the lead. Now he's finding himself right back down in the third, a couple seconds back behind second. Here's the replay. You'll watch Hebert makes the pass, but watch the red Rosso Esport, and that's what it is.
Yeah, got on the curbing and shot across the pavement.
Yeah, nothing De Gregorio could do, and obviously for Hampton, nothing he did deliberately. Just got a little bit of grab on one of those right side tires.
Yeah.
But now we've got a battle to be fun to watch here between Robert Schwenkler and De Gregorio and Josh Vidal just a second or so in front of them. So the battle for second, third, and fourth heating up here with 8 minutes to go in our first round. Sometimes chaos works in our favor.
Let's see if we could jump back to the battle for the lead in GT3 between Noah Hogg and Neil Weston, because it looks like that's closing back down as well. And Hogg again has had a huge advantage, Larry, just digging out of MG, out of that downhill hairpin over at turn 10, which brings you right back up to the final two corners and onto the front straight. But Weston appears to be very strong through the top portions of the track, coming through the southern loop over at turn 2, and even that Honda corner, the first hairpin.
Yeah, there's definitely some spots where he can have the advantage. But take a look at this now. Di Gregorio trying to take that spot back from Josh Vidal for second place. They're going to maintain side by side through this long left-hand turn 2. I like the outside line if he can make it stick, and he's going to, but can he hold that run all the way through the kink at 3? Looks like he's got it now, going into the hairpin at 4. Does Vidal have a counter move under the brakes?
He's going to try as they come into the hairpin.
Oh, he's on it, and he holds his line, and he's going to get the spot back. Meanwhile, Schwenkler, he's lurking. He's not far behind this either.
No. And Larry, it was so interesting watching that fight as they both came through turn 2, about mid-corner, just past the first apex there. Di Gregorio had the rear end step out on him, and it looked like he had to get out of the throttle just a little bit, and that was as Robert Schwenkler was keeping, or probably as Vidal was keeping the inside line. And then just about 3 car lengths later, we saw the rear end of Vidal's car step out, and it brought the advantage back, at least temporarily, to Di Gregorio. But that was a great outbraking maneuver going in the hairpin at 4.
Yeah, it really was. I was surprised he was able to hold that inside line, and it paid off for him big time now. 6.5, maybe 5.5 minutes left in this thing. Couple more laps to go. Now they're both drafting behind the Mustang of GT3. And they get on by him, but one more run through this long left-hander and a little bit of floating. And Di Gregorio is a little bit more stable, I think, than Vidal through there as Hogg under pressure from Neil Weston in GT3.
All right, as they make the run up the hill here, Larry, and Hogg had temporarily given up the lead there to Neil Weston. Watch this run from Weston coming down the inside, but as the track switches back the other direction.
Well, I talked about it. It makes it on the left kink, but you get a little bit better throttle run from the right side, and it puts you at the right-hander for the hairpin and Miller right here. So if you can just hold it outside, great job again on the brakes, very much like Vidal in the prototype said a minute ago. This time it's Noah Hogg doing the same on that inside line, holding Weston behind him.
All right, and big changes here in LMP3 areas. João Di Gregorio gets by Josh Vidal as they go at it once again.
Oh, this is going to go all the way up into Lukey Heights. This is beautiful stuff. Oh, I love it. And that inside line is everything here. The outside is really bad. The pavement just kind of tails away. Great job positioning for Di Gregorio to take that second spot. And Schwenkler and Vidal are now, there we are. They're under pressure. Who's going to get this podium? And right now, Vidal cracks under pressure. It's not going to be Josh Vidal,
Larry, as he loses the rear end. You said he was starting to get awfully floaty. And we saw just just saw 2 laps ago where he was starting to lose the rear end. And he now concedes the last step on the podium to the wrong steps Robert Schwenkler. Now as Vidal, with only about 3.5 minutes remaining in this race, now finds himself almost 6 seconds in arrears.
It was the long, really long left-hander, the southern loop. It's got a little bit of a camber change through it, and his car looked loose a couple laps earlier, and I think it finally came back to bite him going side by side with Robert Schwenkler. Meanwhile, the battle for second in GT4 is heating up because Schwenke, the leader, seems to have pulled away, so it's left for Hartley and Dan to duke it out here for second with just about 3 minutes to go. Maybe, what do we think, 2 laps?
About 2 laps, maybe.
Lap? Yeah, we'll see where overall race leader Zach Hebert is when we get down to about 2 minutes to go, but it might be 2 laps next time by. Mike Dam may have just been conserving enough after having that little bit of a mistake at turn 4 a few laps ago that gave the lead over to Travis Schwenke. Mike Dam has got Robert Hartley in his sights. Always fun to watch these guys battle. They're so precise. All 3 of these Orion teammates. Oh, that wasn't precise though. Big tail slide for Mike Dam. Coming around Lukey Heights, just got a little bit wide. Now it's a tough then to get that back over to the other side of the track to come out of turn 10 on the momentum line.
Oh, and he's so loose now, Larry, as he drifted that car through 11 and up the hill.
He's trying, but trying all he can. But that was an advantage to Robert Hartley there. Maybe 2 laps to go. Things are settling down there.
Hebert now is coming out of 11 and up the hill towards the front straight. When he crosses the line,
yeah, it should be
we'll have just about a minute 35 remaining thereabouts.
And his lap times are about a minute 25, so should be 2 full laps.
2 more
here.
laps, yeah.
White flag next time. There is your leader, about 9 seconds. He's got an advantage over João de Gregorio. So a good solid race here for Hebert. Once he was able to take the lead early, we had seen pole sitter de Gregorio on the opening couple of corners there. Schwenkler took the lead, and then Schwenkler conceded it to Hebert, and he's pretty much held on to it since about, what, second, maybe third lap?
Yeah, I think second lap.
Yeah, it's a good solid run here for the Echelon Sim Sport driver, Zach Hebert. He's just got lap and a half to go. Look at that, a little bit of lockup. These cars do not have ABS. And all you have to do is just tip the car a little bit of turn in under the brakes, and they will lock easily.
All right, and here's the battle for the lead in GT3. Hogg from Velocity Motorsports in his Porsche, directly behind there. You'd see the not battered face, but the funny, nobody thinks the BMW M4 is an ugly duckling any longer. But Neil Weston from HDBK, they're in second position. And as it stands here, Larry, if the race were to end right about now, and I don't think it will, Doug Klimovich would be your pole sitter in GT3, Russ Ruddick your pole sitter in GT4, and I think Pan Heraday would be your pole sitter in LMP3.
Yeah, assuming he can get his computer taken care of. Obviously, that was some of his troubles there in that opening moments of the first race, but we're not done yet. We still have a lap to go for everybody, and for Neil Weston, he may get 2 full laps depending on where Zach Hebert is. Unless Zach Hebert just went by them. But we'll check on that in a minute because these two are, he's just ahead. So these guys should be a white flag lap. Look at the advantage here for Weston.
Yeah, but Weston's stuck behind Dan Carrizo, Larry, and with nowhere to go. And sticking to the outside lane, Noah Hogg is able to open the lead back up.
And right now, de Gregorio is going to make it even harder. But look at this. Look at that cut for Weston. Going to jump right inside of Hogg side by side. Where did he come from under braking? That was impressive. And he held it. He actually had a half a car over the inside curve. He was able to slow down so much.
I think we're going to start calling him the Raging Cajun now, Larry. As let's take a look at this again, because this was a spectacular move as they all cleared Dan Carrizo's Porsche Cayman.
Wow, yeah, it looked like Hogg got on the brakes super early, and Weston saw it and said, well, I'm not going to brake that early. Maybe he thought that Hogg was trying to use de Gregorio as a pick. Their race isn't done yet, as they've got a couple more corners to go, but this guy, his race is done. That's Zach Hebert. Here's your race winner overall, your winner in first round tonight in LMP3. And not far behind Zach.
Not far behind in GT4. Travis Schwenke is going to take race 1 with teammate Robert Hartley and Mike Dam finishing second and third, taking the win in GT3. Made the pass when he needed it, Larry. It is Neil Weston with Noah Hogg finishing in second and still waiting to see him come across the line. Aaron Sunday has the advantage on the last lap here by about 4 seconds, and there you go. Aaron Sunday from OHND Racing will take his Mercedes home to third place, with Dale Maxwell finishing in fourth.
Yeah, I don't normally like dive bomb moves, but that move from Weston was less dive bomb, and I think it was just conservative braking for Noah Hogg that may have cost him. Beautiful move there. Weston is going to start at the back of the field for this next race, but he's got that win in his pocket for the first one. And Chris Hampton may be out of fuel.
I was going to say, Larry, I think he's out of fuel, and he is going to finish, started on pole, going to finish 8th. And he's going to start on pole again. And as I saw the shot there, Larry, I was thinking, he's going to finish this race off where he started it, off in the grass somewhere. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, it'll be time for race number 2 here at Phillip Island. It's round number 3, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech GT Pro Sports Car Challenge. Stay with us.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts, support from experts that love sim racing, trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sportscar Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Out of the dark and into the light, we're back here at Phillip Island. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and it is round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech GT Pro Sports Car Challenge. And Larry, I think we've got a little bit of time to kill here. About 2.5 minutes remain in a warm-up session for our racers as we get ready for the second 30-minute race of the evening. It's going to be an inverted start. We'll give you the starting order here in just a few moments. I think the only racer that we have on track at the moment is Dale Maxwell from Slowbros Racing in his GT3 Ford Mustang, and Kyle Stryker's taken to the track as well, as is our first race winner in GT3, Neil Weston. Sam, can we bring up the finishing order from that first race? Is that still possible, or did we lose that when things switched over to the warm-up? There we go. All right, let's take a look here. And again, taking the win in LMP3 in his Echelon Simsport Ligier, Zach Hebert with João Di Gregorio from Rosso Esports, working his way back to second after having started on pole. Robert Schwenkler will finish third for the wrong stuff. Over in GT3, Neil Weston with that last lap outbraking maneuver going into Honda corner. Takes the win over Noah Hogg from Velocity Motorsports. Aaron Sunday takes his Mercedes home in third. And then over in GT4, where it is once again the Ryan race show, Travis Schwenke, second place no more, Larry, at least for half the round. Travis Schwenke takes the win in his Cayman GT4 RS Club Sport. Robert Hartley will finish second. Mike Dam finishes third, and I don't know what that does to the points now. I guess we'll wait until the second
I'm not
race
sure
is
either,
finished.
but I'll tell you what, it certainly doesn't make them any further apart. If
No,
the points
it
lead was
doesn't.
already tied with Hartley and Dam coming in, and Schwenke was third, it's only in Schwenke's favor here. But who knows? We'll see how that goes. As Stryker decided to strike it into the tire barrier there for fun.
That looked painful.
Yeah. That'll certainly wake you up in your sim rig on a Tuesday morning, which it is in Australia right now.
That's right. Well, Pan Hirde got his monitors woken up, Larry, and he is back out on track after having sat in the pit lane for the last 30 minutes. We'll have to see what the stewards decide to do here and whether or not they put Pan on pole for LMP3, because technically he didn't serve. Well, I didn't hear if he received a penalty. I assume he did. If he did receive a penalty, he certainly didn't serve it. So we'll see here how things work out.
All right, well, we've got our inverted grid, and what's going to happen is iRacing by default inverts everybody.
Right.
What they're going to do here is they're going to go ahead and do it again by class. So it'll be LMP3s, the GT3s, the GT4s, but each class inverted from how they each class finish. So I'll start with these. In fact, I'll do the first two, Greg. I'll leave you the GT4s. So
Thank you.
On the pole then for the second race, yes, will be Pan Hirde. In fact, I've got a pretty good, give me 3 seconds here. I've got it in this other screen just to make sure. So your pole sitter should be Pan Hirde. Alongside him, Kyle Strikers. On the second row should be Josh Vidal on the inside, Robert Schwenkler on the outside. And your third row in the LMP3s, João Di Gregorio on the inside, and Zach Hebert, your race one winner, will be on the outside. Looking then at our GT3s. GT3s are the blue ones. There they are. Chris Hampton, who was actually your pole sitter in the first race, will be the pole sitter in the second race. He'll be alongside Doug Klimovich. Behind them, you'll have John Casey and Greg Brockway. On the third row of the GT3s, Dale Maxwell will be alongside fan favorite Aaron Sunday. And on the fourth row, Noah Hogg and Neil Weston in GT3s.
All right, let's move over to the GT4s, where I am sure to mess this up, Larry. All right, starting on pole in GT4, I believe it's going to be Russ Ruddick with Jeff Jacobs sharing that front row along with him. Then we'll have David Klimovich and Dan Carrizo starting third and fourth. And then it is going to be Mike Dam, who will start fifth alongside teammate Robert Hartley, and then trailing up and coming up the rear in GT4, our race one winner, Travis Schwenke.
Perfect. So whatever you see on the screen, just invert it.
All right, and so Larry, what I thought might happen did appear to happen. We're showing Pan Hirde at the back of the LMP3 field, not on pole.
Yeah, he was.
And I think, because, Larry, if he was assigned a penalty from that first race, he didn't serve it because he never left the pit lane. So I think that's probably the big one there.
Yeah. Well, they're getting all of this sorted out. So there's a crew of stewards telling each driver to pull on up as it is their time. Meanwhile, in the sim, the pace car driver is probably about ready to pull in and send this race to green.
I was going to say, he's almost on the pit lane.
Like the drivers, all of our audience tonight, they're going to ignore the green lights at the top of the screen because they're going to come on. Don't worry about it. It is a manual starter, as always, every Monday night here in the series. It's always a manual starter, so just kind of ignore those lights when they come on.
Yeah. I mean, on the bright side, Larry, this race is probably only going to be about 26 minutes or 25 minutes in length. Anyway, let's just mention real quick that tonight's race stewards, as you mentioned, are provided by the SCCA Foundation. The SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit sccafoundation.org for more information.
All right, so as things are getting going again, it is Kyle Strikers and Josh Vidal. So this could be very interesting. We know that this group is very tight in their talent, top to bottom. So this is going to be tough to run through no matter where you are. But I do like Di Gregorio. Certainly had practice coming from behind, down to fourth place twice, ended up second in the first race. We'll see if he can work his way through. But Josh Vidal had some bad luck. I wonder if he would have adjusted his setup. But Greg, if you're Josh Vidal, knowing your car might have been a little loose, are you tweaking the setup between the first race and the second race?
I'm sorry, Larry. Come again?
If you're Josh Vidal and you know that car was a little loose in that first race, and
Yeah.
ultimately it cost him through turn 2, are you making the setup change? Or are you going to stick with it because you know?
Given how early the car went away from him, I would definitely be looking at making a setup change of some sort, whether it's a slight toe change in the rear. Or maybe even just a slight tire pressure, maybe a drop in tire pressure is just a tiny little bit.
Yeah, the other thing
but
they could
just
do is
something.
a little a change to the rake in some of these prototypes. You can just sort of bring the rear ride height down a little bit if you've got room to go. That sometimes can just settle the back of the car if it's an issue. But I'll be curious if we see some of that floatiness out of that car from Josh here in the second race. And the same thing with these 3 Porsches and the Orion as we're on board here with race 1, Travis Schwenke.
Mike Dam in particular.
Mike Dam, do they go away from their normal setup knowing that maybe they can have an advantage or a disadvantage on their teammate if they do?
All right, as we've got the prototype field going into the second hairpin over at turn 10 and working up the hill, they're going to start forming up as our GT3 and GT4 racers are just a wee bit behind. And Larry, when our GT or our LMP3 racers take the green, we'll have about 24 minutes on the clock.
Keep your eye on strikers on that inside line, but the outside line, if you can hold it to turn 1, becomes the inside of 2. So for Vidal, it's almost an advantage. Keep your eye on that white and green livery car on the outside of front row.
And Larry, let's watch Di Gregorio because he just did not get a good start in round 1. If I remember right, he had the same problem at round 2. As the LMP3 racers, they get the green flag, and taking a quick look to the inside, that was I believe Di Gregorio, and they are 3 wide heading into the right-handed Doohan corner, first turn, and with the advantage at the moment, Kyle Strikers, he's got Robert Schweikler right alongside him, though, as they come through the southern loop and start to make their way up that hill as our GT3 racers get the green flag. And Larry, this time Chris Hampton stays on track for the entirety of his pace lap, and I don't want to jinx it, but he leads the field going into turns 1 and 2 as our GT4 racers now take the green. Jeff Jacobs sweeps around the outside of Dan Carrillo now, and we've got many LMP3 cars off.
Yeah, that Strikers for sure is one of them. The other one might have been here today. I'm not sure. Didn't see it. But I was just going to say, that's restart. You know, I kept saying Vidal on the outside line had the advantage, except it was Robert Schweikler that came up deep to the inside to make it 3 wide, and suddenly he had the better line, forced Vidal on the outside to tuck in behind. But in the end, Schweikler ends up now taking the lead with the issues facing Mr. Strikers. We'll have to get a replay queued up on that one momentarily.
Yeah, and Larry, that's the same duo that had the issues at turn 1. It appeared to be a little bit later in the lap. In race 1, it was at the southern loop, but this was a little bit further down track. We'll pull up a replay of that in just a few moments as we go, and we'll pull it up right now.
So here you go. You got the leader, Strikers, just cold tires. There he goes around and really gets in the way of Hebert. And then, unfortunately for Pan here today, he just is not having his night. Nowhere for him to go. That's unfortunate, as Pan is back in the pits, as did Strikers temporarily stay in the pits, and he's back in the win. But John Casey now in that Frito Sport entry, who started along his teammate in this race, he's now found himself at the back of the GT3 field. So he's got a little bit of chasing to do. Meanwhile, it is Doug Klimovich up to 3rd early in this thing, but it's Chris Hampton holding down the front of the field this time with Brockway and Doug Klimovich in 3rd spot. Look at Hogdall in the similar Porsche with a run out of 2 already.
Very good run.
Take Klimovich on the inside. Doug better keep an eye on his right. There goes Noah Hogg.
Yeah, I was going to say, as they come into the hairpin, that was pretty much a done deal there. Yeah. As Hogg now moves up into 3rd position with Greg Brockway just ahead.
There's the other Klimovich. That's David.
David Klimovich in the 21 came in. He goes off. He now literally slides into 7th in GT4.
Yeah, but these front 4 in your prototypes, now all of them within about 3 seconds of each other. Pretty tight field, with Di Gregorio getting shuffled to the back. for the second race restart.
The second time in a
Obviously
row for him.
Well, he had to, of course, avoid strikers sliding around there, so everybody did. Schwenkler's the only one that really got away cleanly from that. But Di Gregorio now has to work his way back through round one race winner. This guy I'll be interested to watch. That's Neil Weston, of course, alongside Aaron Sunday here. Weston's trying to do what Noah Hogg is doing, which is making his way through the field. Weston's struggling a little bit. Now he's got still Aaron Sunday, and then he's got to get around Dale Maxwell in the Slowbro and teammate Doug Klimovich. But Neil Weston, a bit off a slow start, which I almost say he did in the first race. Let's see if Weston can get up the pace here and make some moves, keep up with Noah Hogg.
All right, over in GT4 land, Mike Dam now moving up into second position. He didn't waste a lot of time. Of course, he started right around mid-pack, started in fourth position. He's now up into second, trying to track down Dan Carrillo. And a great start for Carrillo, who started off at fifth, Larry. Finds himself in the lead in GT4 currently, as he had worked his way around both Jeff Jacobs and Russ Ruddick, the Flying Tortoise Motorsports driver, now back in sixth, as Weston now taking that look to the inside of Aaron Sunday. And Sunday put on a good defense there for about 3/4 of a lap, but Weston works through. Let's take a look here, Larry, as Chris Hampton for the second race in a row started on pole. But, you know, as you said, Noah Hogg had a great run early on, was able to move up through the field and into second, and he just got certainly got a much better run out of the Southern Loop compared to Chris Hampton. But I don't know, looked like Hampton had just got out of the throttle almost there. Hogg was able to just open up with 3 car lengths on him almost immediately.
Yeah, Hogg being very aggressive here, and it's paying off, jumping all the way to the lead. And look at Hampton struggling under braking, gets wide under brakes, and now he's going to let half the field by. Hampton just not having a really great night after being on pole. It turned out to be both races. Quick replay. Watch how far left Hampton is when he's on the brakes and late on the brakes. And there's Hogg. I think Hogg generally has an early breaking point there. We saw the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Weston just absolutely blow by him into that corner, and I think that's absolutely right. That Hogg just he has a real soft brake pedal there. He slows the car down very slowly and gets back on the throttle very early out of that corner. We see him where he does that out of turn 10 as well.
Yeah. Kept in touch with them just a little bit. We'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, the LMP3s are starting to catch the back of the field first time through. That could have
Weston now takes a look. Weston takes a look to the outside of Dale Maxwell's Mustang. We've got the 2 Slowbros racers there.
Yeah. They're going to sandwich the ATPK, and Maxwell runs out of real estate. That's good positioning there for Weston. Not so well for Maxwell, who just sort of ran out of room to go in tight corners with so many cars bunched together. Let's see if he can now work his way past the other Slowbro. Of course, that's Doug Klimovich. That's right now third place for Weston, though. He's got his eyes on the prize. He's almost 5 seconds back in Noah Hogg. A lot of ground to make up in the next 20-plus minutes. Meanwhile, Schwenkler is under pressure from Vidal, Hebert, and Di Gregorio. Remember, they were about 3-4 seconds between them before. Now it's 0.9, covers the field through the GT4 traffic. Jeff Jacobs just trying to stay out of the way. Vidal under pressure from Hebert. Hebert's going to just back off a little bit here as they've got the GT4 leaders in front of them.
Yeah, so Hebert got, I would say, pinched a little bit to the outside there as Vidal loses the rear end, and Hebert's going to sneak through, and Di Gregorio is going to try to pick up for lost time here. He gets around Josh Vidal as well. And Vidal, Larry, what would you say? Just maybe a little bit early back to throttle there, or?
Yeah, maybe it's just a little bit there for him, and that's going to cost him an advantage to Schwenkler there. Start to pull up. Look at this. This is like rush hour traffic on the 5 here. This is nuts. Di Gregorio, though, trying to make his way and follow Hebert through while the 3 Orion cars are together, and Hebert's off.
Zach Hebert from Echelon Sim Sport now goes around, coming out of turn 11 and up the hill. And lots of rear grip issues, Larry, for our LMP3 racers. You know, I was wondering if, you know, as we were talking about Josh Vidal and some of his oversteer issues towards the end of race 1, whether or not he made some setup changes. I'm wondering if perhaps Zach Hebert made some changes as well.
I do wonder about that, but that also could be just a lot of traffic around to get offline. Things are just happening differently, and for Hebert, that definitely cost him a lot. He's going to see if there's any opportunity. He's going to probably take a mistake from the front 3 for him to move up any position. But meanwhile, Mike Dam and Robert Hartley are definitely challenging each other going into turn 4 at the hairpin. They've got another car in front of them, of course. That is the Dan Carrito, the leader in the class. But these Porsches behind these Orion guys are just going to do this side by side.
All right, so it's Carrillo, your leader, then Dam, Hartley, and Travis Schwenke slotting in behind. And then the rest of the GT4 field, Jeff Jacobs, I believe almost 6 seconds in arrears with Russ Ruddick and David Klimovich. Also, again, another 6 seconds, about big gap between them as we now have, I think, heading out from the pit lane, looks like Kyle's, there we go, Panhirde leaving the pit lane after taking repairs after that incident with Kyle Strikers on lap 1. And so he's going to rejoin almost 7 laps down, but Larry, I guess, given the amount of lap time that he's had, or the amount of track time that he's had so far, good thing to see that, just to see that car out on track.
Yeah, we'll catch up with him a little bit. But speaking of catching up, Neil Weston has gotten around the rest of the GT3 field. There you can see Greg Brockway was the latest victim just behind him. So now 5 seconds up the road is that guy, Noah Hogg, whose aggressiveness paid off here in the first 10 minutes of tonight's second race. Got him this huge advantage as he worked his way through the field much more cleanly than Neil Weston did. So we'll check back with them a little bit. Right now, Hogg with the advantage, but we know Weston's got the pace, especially in second halves of these races. Meanwhile, yep, you're not seeing quadruple. That is 4 Porsche Caymans lined up, starting with Dan Carrito and 3 Orions. Dam, Hartley, Schwenke now in a train. Let's see if the teammates behind Dam let Dam make the first move, or does Travis Schwenke say, well, as long as we're bunched up, I'm going to start pushing Hartley and
start pushing, start pushing Hartley at least a little bit here. And so Larry in GT4 tonight, as you said, we're not seeing double or quadruple, but 5 of the 7 racers here tonight are in the Porsche Cayman Club Sports. The only standouts here that are not Russ Ruddick in his BMW and Jeff Jacobs in the Aston Martin. But, you know, as we saw even at Spa just a few weeks ago, you know, this was seemingly the chassis to have in GT4, if only because at least three of them seem to match up so well and run so strong.
Sure, at that point it becomes, if you can't beat them, join them, just in case. But, you know, just watching all 4 of them now lining up in this place, it races well, but it also means you can defend side by side for long periods of time. Really critical to be on the correct side of the track at every moment. Look at here, Carrito taking middle of track, coming around turn 2 at the Southern Loop. Now that just forced, I guess, Mike Dam to stay a little bit to the right and allows Robert Hartley to come underneath. So Hartley will be on Dam's left. Schwenke almost could make it 3 wide if he wanted to. He's going to stay back.
He's going to stay back.
Oh, but he might get the advantage on the inside of Hartley as Hartley
Hartley runs a little
wide.
deep.
Oh, look at this, though. Hartley now may have been wide at 4, but he'll be in the inside at 6, and he's going to take that spot right back from Travis Schwenke. I love this track.
And meanwhile, Dan Carrillo just every once in a while has to take a quick look at either his relative screen or maybe in that rear view mirror to see see if it's only 2 cars wide or if it's 3 cars wide going into a corner behind him. Although it looks like Mike Dam might now have Dan Carrillo sent there as we go back to our LMP3 leader, Robert Schwenkler. Let's jump back over to GT4 here, Larry, as Hartley and Schwenke now doors up, heading down the front straight into Doohan Corner.
Well, this is great if you're Mike Dam. Your teammates are fighting behind him, but Dam just has to try to make a move in Carrillo.
And here it comes. There it comes, and there it goes, Larry.
Oh, he's becoming one mistake Mike Dam, because every race he makes one. Sometimes he's able to recover, other times he's not. That's going to be a tough one to recover from. Meanwhile, that just goes ahead and puts Travis Schwenke now as the next one in line to try and catch Dan Carrillo. Let's check in, though, with the LMP3s.
Yeah.
As Robert Schwenke has built up a near almost 3.5-second lead on João Di Gregorio.
And Di Gregorio, Larry, the last time by, knocked off a couple tenths, and we just saw him there coming through turn 1. But again, it's probably going to take at this point either a lot of traffic, like all of the Orion racers side by side, or a big mistake there from Robert Schwenkler. At least now, as we are halfway through this final 30-minute race, or more accurately, about 25-minute race here from Phillip Island.
We've seen some craziness, certainly in that first round. Schwenkler, of course, was a big part of the ups and downs that brought us that first round. He knows as much as anybody how quickly this can turn away, so he's got to really watch his marks, especially through traffic. You don't want to make some crazy move that puts you offline and end up like Zach Hebert did, and I think that's what a lot of the drivers have to worry about. You get a little offline, you got to change your driving angles, and Schwenkler, the one now at the advantage, needs to use that advantage by being crisp and clean, put the guys behind him under pressure to have to make the odd moves. Meanwhile, GT3's Aaron Sunday's made his way up to 4th, and he's now about 2 seconds back, maybe a second and a half back from Greg Brockway for the 3rd spot. There is Aaron Sunday in that AMG. I do like the AMG, of course. Good livery, good paint job there on Aaron Sunday's car this week. He's, you can see there, a couple seconds back from that 3rd step on the podium. Greg Brockway currently holding it down.
And Larry, I'm looking at the deltas now between Noah Hogg and Neil Weston, where the advantage is still a little bit more than 4 seconds, as Weston is knocked a little bit off of Hogg's advantage, but the last couple of laps they have been within a couple tenths of one another. Yeah,
it just came down a couple more chunks. We'll check in on that as David Klimovich just was able to get his way past Russ Ruddock, and he'll set his sights on Jeff Jacobs a little further up the road. It's a good shot there of Klim Club's favorite, of course.
That last time by, Weston ran almost the identical time to his previous lap. He had lost 2 tenths on the prior lap, on lap number 11, and on lap number 10, and on lap number 11 he gained it back.
All right, well, we talked about how Mike Dam's mistake cost him and was going to leave the fight to Schwenke and Hartley. Schwenke and Hartley have done their job. They're on the back of Dan Carrillo now, and it looks like behind them is the HCPK entry of Neil Weston, who would love to get in between them, but he's kind of stuck amongst the Porsches in his BMW. He's going to have to motor by them here before he gets down, little flash of the lights through the kink at 3, down the Miller corner at turn 4. Oh, look at Schwenke, dives to the inside. He hits.
And is he going to get Weston?
He hits Weston. Yes.
That's exactly what I saw coming, Larry. As soon as I saw Schwenke jump to the inside, was pretty confident that Neil Weston's BMW was going to be the brakes for him. A little sorry over the radio from Travis Schwenke. Let's take a look at this.
I'll tell you what, after watching the first round, no one should be out-braking Neil Weston, because we saw him do it to Noah Hogg. He's not the guy to dive bomb. I think Schwenke just misjudged. In fact, he did the same thing Dam did a couple laps ago and got himself on the brakes and just missed it. In this case, for Neil Weston, though, it's going to cost him a couple seconds in his chase of Noah Hogg.
Yeah, unfortunately, now that drops that increases the gap to Noah Hogg by almost 7 seconds. So costing the BMW driver 4 seconds plus in that exchange.
We could check in at some point with Aaron Sunday again as he's gone the back of. I think he's on the back of Greg Brockway. Meanwhile, we got this replay of a little bit of Schwenke now thinking he's trying to make the move on one, and I think he just got startled there with the Carrito and kind of disrupted his own braking. Carrito was just trying to avoid the much larger, heavier GT3 car of Weston braking in front of him. That's the one thing. It's kind of, you know the pace overall. GT3s are faster than GT4s. We've seen this with GTPs and LMP2s. You know that the faster one's faster, but what you forget is the faster one often is bigger and heavier, and they have to brake earlier. And so the lighter GT4s often can get away with a little bit later braking point, a little bit faster turn-in speed. But in this case, it's no excuse. It really still should have been holding back and not dive bombing in there, holding his line. But we'll see what the stewards have to say about it. Meanwhile, Joe Di Gregorio is going to make a 3 wide. You got GT3 on the left, GT4 on the right for Di Gregorio. Somehow he makes it through. Wow.
He's sliced right across the nose of Aaron Sunday, and all of a sudden now, Larry, everything is compressing right behind. We've got Noah Hogg in that group. We just saw the McLaren there of. Oh my gosh, Chris Hampton, who's now running in 6th. I mean, they're seemingly all together in one place.
Yep, and look at this. They come out of 10 and 11 and start down the front straightaway. It's happening again. Doug Klimovich in his Porsche, next to Travis Schwenke in his Porsche. There's Hampton in the McLaren, and oh yeah, Josh Vidal's making his appearance.
Trying to make his recovery, yeah.
He's trying to hold off Zach Hebert, who isn't far behind either. Hebert should be right in this train, right behind him. Yeah, he's just at the back in this.
I would say he's at the back.
Yeah, and Hampton goes wide right. He's off.
That's like the second or third time Hampton's been there.
Yeah, he's having
Hampton. I think Hampton just wants to go swimming in Western Port.
I mean, meanwhile, he's now at the back of this short field. There is Aaron Sunday, and it's a good shot of him because he continues to chase down Greg Brockway. There you can see the Acura of Brockway in the Frito Sport entry just ahead. The OHND Aaron Sunday here trying to chase him down. He's been getting closer. He's just about a second back at this stage. We have 10 minutes to go. Meanwhile, there is going to be a review as it looks like the Chris Hampton contact with the
Doug
Klimovich is going to get looked at.
All right, let's take a look at the shot again.
Yeah, so Klimovich, of course, in that Porsche. And actually, I'd be looking at the contact of Klimovich into the back of Robert Hartley more so than Chris Hampton. But a lot of different contact there the stewards are going to take a look at as we go back on board with OHND's Aaron Sunday.
You're just looking for another tip. By the way, speaking of Brad, I don't want to wish death on many people. Thank you for the $1.99. I'm sure the Apex folks will be sharing that with Larry and I at the end of the night. Thank you.
We'll buy one chip next time I order fish and chips.
That's right.
Inflation. All right, take a look here as Aaron Sunday is trying to get in his chase here, but he's got a Zach Hebert who's doing his own chase of Josh Vidal in front of him. So Sunday does manage to avoid contact with Hebert. Hebert is now being aggressive with just 8 minutes left. He'd love to have that third place back in Hebert wide.
Loses the rear end. Somehow managed to recover it, Larry.
Yeah, he did. He looked like he had gotten out into a bit of the edge of the gravel and dirt, exiting 6. Somehow managed to keep it together, so he's got to just pull it back up and catch up with Vidal, who's a second or so up ahead. He's got a Greg Brockway in front of him. Schwenkler, solid. You can see that gap continuing to grow over the last few laps as he works his way through traffic. And he's going to get right inside Noah Hogg. Wow, that was slick. Just gets in there underneath the GT3 leader. Noah flashed the lights, did not expect it.
Hogg didn't think it was slick.
Yeah, this guy's going to have to go Sheriff Foster's at the end of this one to make up for that. That was
right.
That was tight. That'll be a reference I can make for Australia. Sorry, guys.
That's right. I just want to know why all of our Australian drivers have decided not to run in this series.
I was wondering that too. We have all these Australia drivers that join us on these nights, but apparently they decided World Challenge is their game. We got to get them here in the Sportscar series to be able to play here at tracks like this. They will be in Adelaide. They'll show up.
Oh, and Dan Carrillo opens the door, Larry, to Robert Hartley. Runs a little wide coming out of turn 2, and Robert Hartley, for the first time in this race, is your leader in GT4. And Travis Schwenke looking, again, coming off of Schwenke's missed place braking early on, looking for a way to get around Carrillo here a couple laps later. Let's take a look.
Yeah, and Pan here today's got a good look at all of this, but you can see right here, look at the inside line for Hartley, gets the power down, and out there Carrillo's got a lift to avoid going far to driver's right off into the bay front there. Hartley, great advantage. Now let's see if he can start to pull away and keep Carrillo between himself and Travis Schwenke behind.
As they come down into MG, down into turn 10 into the final hairpin, and start to work their way up the hill, up the long hill here towards the front straight. Robert Hartley's going to lead his first lap of the race as we start lap number 16 for the GT4 cars. And now 5 minutes remaining on the clock for Robert Schwenkler and the rest of this 21 car field.
Yeah, first time tonight, Hartley, even in the first race, didn't have any chance to lead that one, but has it now. So we'll see if he can hold off any return moves from Dan Carrillo. But Carrillo's under his own pressure from Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke. Meanwhile,
yeah, I was going to say, Dam's back in the conversation again after that off a couple laps ago.
But Noah Hogg in his own Porsche GT3 variety has still got an advantage of about 5 seconds over Neil Weston. It's come down for about 8 seconds, but Hogg could probably be conservative at this pace, knowing there's just about 2-3 laps left in this thing. Robert Schwenkler still trying to hold off João de Gregorio, but I don't know there's much time left for de Gregorio without some help from traffic. Zach Hebert, though, this is probably our best battle is in the prototypes, is Zach Hebert trying to catch Josh Vidal. So we'll keep an eye on those guys, as well as Aaron Sunday, who appears to have gotten around Greg Brockway. There is Neil Weston, but it's the Brockway Sunday that has changed hands. And we go
Sounds
on board
yummy, Larry.
Sunday. It does. A Brockway Sunday.
Yes.
It's the second ice cream reference I've made tonight, going back to your twist, and that's a mistake for Brockway.
And that was a twist in its own right, Larry.
It was completely. No chocolate for you, as Aaron Sunday goes on by, complete with a cherry on top.
All right, so as Weston now looks to complete lap number 18, as you said, he's closed things back down to about 5 3/4 seconds. But again, time running short here. That incident a couple laps ago that he got caught up in with Travis Schwenke certainly didn't help his run. He might have had a chance at it, Larry, had that not happened.
He's going to run into the same issue with de Gregorio. He's just running out of time. There's probably 2 laps left in this thing, coming by start-finish now inside of 3 minutes on the clock. Going to be tough without some help in traffic. But I think Hebert and Vidal for podium is still in contention. Brockway could make a counter move to catch Sunday. We'll keep an eye on them. And, of course, the front 4 and GT4 are still just tight as can be. There is Vidal defending against Hebert as they go through traffic. Hebert right behind him, going around Russ Ruddock. Vidal, good move to put the BMW driver as best he can between them. But you got Noah Hogg in front, who breaks early.
I think they both got the memo there.
No! Watch this. I think that
That was
Yeah,
David
there's
Klimovich, I think, running a little
But I'm
wide.
watching Hebert. Hebert looks like he's going to set up a good late apex, get a better run up this hill, and he's trying to make this work to get around Noah Hogg and try to make the move on Vidal. Not able to this time by, but he tried to set that up using the GT3 car to his advantage. He might do the same thing here. Get the good dig. We might see these two side by side through turn 1. See which line Vidal takes if he holds right side, inside line.
And it wasn't much, Larry, but Vidal with a slightly better run out of that hairpin and up the hill, able to open up about 2.5 car lengths on Hebert behind. But let's see what Hebert can do here under the draft. Yeah, long front straightaway.
Yeah, you watch Vidal weaving just a little bit. If this were SCCA racing, that'd be a no-no, but it's not. Here next MS, you can do it, I guess, to a point. But he does hold it one more time. I think, was that white flag?
Well, we've got a little bit over a minute to go. It should be, well, yeah, we should have one more, Larry. Schwenkler is about halfway through this lap. I think we've got one more to go.
Ooh, that's up into the back. There's contact as Jeff Jacobs checked up a little bit with those two GT or LMP 3s, whatever they are, behind him. And he got into the back of Vidal. No damage done, but that was really close. Meanwhile, Hartley now
back over in GT4, where it is still Hartley, your leader, and that is Doug Klimovich again having some issues, and it's not even raining, Larry.
He's doing donuts.
Yeah,
he's pretending it's raining.
That's right.
He's having a rough go at it.
Get himself a flat white there off in the
there's the white
gravel
flag
track.
waving for these guys. All right, so we are white flag lap now as they go by, so I do wonder who's going to run out of fuel. We saw in the first race, post-race, a couple of those starving on the fuel. We'll see who's got enough to go 31 minutes tonight.
Yeah, we'll see if Chris Hampton put another half gallon in his McLaren compared to the first race.
Probably needed 0.2.
All right, so Zach Hebert gets around Josh Vidal.
But does Vidal have a counter move going into Miller Corner on this lap? Good exit there for Hebert, though. Oh, Corrido under attack. Schwenke, your first race winner tonight in GT4, would like to get back on the second step of the podium here. Corrido, who is not on the podium in the first race, would like to hang on to it. He's going to probably survive one run up the Lukey Heights and one run down the Gardner Straight to hold on to second spot. Not going to be easy. There they are in the Lukey on their way to the top of it.
Top and drop back down. Nope.
Schwenke's got a better exit here, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, Carrillo opened up the door just a little bit, but Schwenke was just a little bit too far behind. But somebody who isn't behind, Robert Schwenkler, from the wrong stuff onto the front straight across the finish line. He's going to win race number 2 here tonight at Phillip Island. Let's jump back over to the GT4 battle. And coming across the line, taking the win, is going to be Robert Hartley. But Dan Carrillo holds off Travis Schwenke. Margin of victory, or not margin of victory, but gap between them, Larry, 3/100ths of a second. Mike Dam finishes just off the podium in 4th. And over in GT3, Noah Hogg will take the win. Neil Weston will finish 2nd. So those two racers swap from their race 1 finishes. Aaron Sunday from OHND, throw another tip in there, guys. Aaron Sunday is going to come home in 3rd in his Mercedes. And that will leave Greg Brockway to come home 4th in his Acura. All right, that's going to...
This track never disappoints. Never ever disappoints.
Doesn't.
The racing is fantastic. It is an absolute gem. If you're on iRacing, don't ever sleep on this track. Phillip Island, it is one of the best.
You know, Larry, I've raced it primarily in Formula Vs, and it's a much different feel going through that second hairpin in a Formula V.
Oh, yeah.
Go figure. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Well, thanks to our partners and sponsors. When we come back, we'll talk to some of our race winners here tonight, where you've just seen both races that make up round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports GT Pro Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. Stay with us.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sportscar Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Phillip Island, where you guys have just seen, and gals, have just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech GT Pro Sports Car Challenge. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, let's take a look at our results from race number 2, where Robert Schwenkler from The Wrong Stuff took the win in LMP3 in his Ligier, with João de Gregorio finishing second for Russo Esports. Zach Hebert, and a great race there between Hebert and Vidal to determine that final podium position. Hebert finishing in third. Over in the GT3 ranks, in race 1, it was Neil Weston taking the win over Noah Hogg. In round 2, Noah Hogg returns the favor for Velocity Motorsports, with Weston coming in second. Aaron Sunday, great result for him tonight as he finishes in third. Greg Brockway just off the podium in fourth. And then over in GT4, Robert Hartley takes the win tonight in race number 2, with Dan Carrillo finishing second. I think that's so far Carrillo's best finish on the season. And then Travis Schwenke coming home in third. Mike Dam, our early leader, literally fell off and finished fourth. All right, let's take a look, Larry. We've got a couple of folks waiting for us here in the green room. Let's start off with the GT4 racer from Orion Racing. He took the win in race 1, finished second in race number 2. It's Travis Schwenke.
All right, joining us is Orion's Travis Schwenke. And Travis, after it's been a while since I think we've heard you around these parts in the Victory Circle realm. So welcome back. A couple of second places to start this whole season. Tonight, though, in that first race, you get that win. What a heck of a battle, though, with you, your teammates. Of course, the second race, Dan Carrillo mixed in there as well. Tell me a bit about the battles it is here in these GT4 Porsches.
Yeah, I think 80% of the battle tonight is with the tires and the hot lava track. So once you could kind of hold your tires up and not overheat them, then it was pretty good. And those were great fights and a lot of fun. So I just kind of messed up that one lap getting down in there. I got into ABS. The braking is a little bit tricky down there with this heat and the ABS in this car. So got in a little too deep, got into ABS, and it was sailing away. So I'm sorry for. Thankfully, no one was injured in that. But yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, it looked like just a lot of chaos there. Of course, you had the GT3 car in the mix, and you're in your own fight there, trying to make the move on Carrillo, and certainly no room for any kind of an error in there. A little bit chaotic, but you guys, you had those battles going on. Of course, then you had Mike Dam, who I think had the same sort of mistake earlier in the race that caused the same thing in the same spot. And you talk about the heat of the tires. Do you guys during the race, are you trying to manage them, or are you just trying to corner to corner survive them?
Definitely trying to manage the right front here. So if you heat that up, you can't get out of the last corner, right? You can't get in through turn 1 or turn 2 down through there. So as soon as those 2 corners are gone, you lose a lot of time at this track. So very easy into turn 2 and just making sure that you can get out of 12 really well. And I think at the end of the race, right, I was getting out of there good, and the others had overheated theirs a little bit, but I just couldn't get the run timed perfectly.
Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic race. Obviously, tonight was just so much fun to watch, just seeing you guys continue to battle. But it's been that way now for 3 races, 3 nights here in this series. I'm assuming this is why you decided to go GT4 this season, because of that, because you just knew this is how they race.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I mean, I know some people didn't like the tire update. I actually think it's pretty good. The car drives pretty well. It is hard to push it at times, but it's part of driving, right? That's and I think you have a good feel. So when you are pushing it too far, you're pushing it too far.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of fun tonight, but I got to ask, is it still your setup that guys are just using? So when they win, it's actually you winning?
This was actually, I don't know what evolution it was, but we're kind of settling in on a Wing 4, Wing 2, and Daytona set, for this car. And Mike and Leo had adjusted this from Mid-Ohio, and I tried our standard Wing 4 set, and I tried this one, and it was really good. So I just had to make some slight adjustments because the fuel load difference and stuff from Ivra. But otherwise, we're set up.
Yeah, well, so you can take credit even when Rob or Mike gets a win. You're allowed to do that. So, but it's great. It's great having you back here in Victory Circle. It has been a long time, but if you remember what we do, we give you a chance to give some mention shout outs. You can even give a shout out to your own wonderful setup if you want, or anybody else if you choose.
Oh yes, shout out to the Travis Setup Shop. Yeah, it's non-existent, but it works internally. Huffy Bikes, of course, and my teammates. We always have a good fun and good laugh in our times doing this racing. This is it's a game, but it's also a little bit competitive, and that's what we like.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Can't wait for the next round. But getting one of the wins here tonight, of course, from Orion Race Team, it's Travis Schwenke.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Travis. All right, let's move over, Larry. Now we'll bring in, not going to bring them in together because who knows what could happen if we did that. But we've got both of our race winners tonight in GT3 sitting in the green room. Let's bring in first we'll bring in our race 1 winner. And he finished second tonight in race number 2, driving for HTPK Racing in the number 06 BMW, Neil Weston.
All right, Neil, that looked like an absolute blast. Both races tonight. The second race of that inverted order, you had a lot of work cut out for you. Tell me a little bit how hard that is to come back through this GT3 field and even have a chance to finish back on the podium in the second race.
It's tough. Noah really did a good job of picking his way through the field there, and I didn't either have the luck or the skill to get through the field just like he did. But it was tough. It was a lot of fun, and it was hard to do it in a way that didn't ruin other people's races. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like an absolute challenge there. But just want to go back to the first race then. It looked like at times maybe, I don't know if it was saving tires or you just kind of, stepping back a little bit and then you make a push to catch up to Noah. But it was that push there on the closing laps and that move under braking. We all kind of gasped, weren't sure you're going to get the car slowed down. How confident were you that you could hold that inside line out braking Noah like that going into the hairpin?
I surprised myself with that one a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. I was trying to take a bit of a defensive line to keep the LMP kind of behind for that corner. I knew if he got on the inside of me there, I was, that was the end of it for me. So I was kind of trying to take a defensive line there, and in taking that defensive line, I saw the corner kind of open up, and I just kind of had to just hold on to the brakes and ride it out, and luckily it worked out. So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it was a just fantastic move and made it stick. Maybe took Noah a bit by surprise, which worked out perfectly at the time to give you that race 1 victory. It was just absolutely beautiful stuff. And the second race, so exciting to see you come back. But I'm sure we got the chat tonight has been Chester, of course, your teammate, and he's telling me that your mustache's I rating might actually be higher than yours. I think you got to work on that to level the field. Just thought I'd let you know he's looking out for you.
Oh, that's always great. He's a great teammate. He's always pushing me to keep going further. So I always appreciate to hear that.
Yeah. So, but awesome job tonight, getting a win in the first round, a second place in the second round. But I know besides Chester, I'm sure you got some good teammates and some others you want to give a mention to.
Absolutely. Chester, Lloyd Cooper, two teammates on HTPK. Like I said, they're always pushing me to go faster. My family, Mike Weston, Kathy Weston, they're usually watching these races, so really appreciate having them tune in and check out the wonderful broadcast.
Yeah, well, tonight was a fantastic show for you, getting a win in a second place, and I tell you, this whole season is going to come right down to the end. I can tell between you and Noah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So, congrats on your performance here tonight, and Neil Weston, HTPK Racing. Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, Larry. Well, let's move over now to our second place finisher in round one, our winner in GT3 in race number 2, driving the number 41 BMW. Who did he race for, Larry? I can tell you who he raced
Velocity.
for. He raced for Velocity Motorsports. Your winner tonight in race number 2, Noah Hogg.
All right, Noah Hogg joining us here post-race. And Noah, great run in that second race to get your way through that field. It just looked like you were precise but aggressive. Was that the strategy in trying to work your way through that tough field?
Definitely was only thinking about points tonight. So strategy was not aggressive or anything. Strategy was just run my line, run my laps, and try to stay up front and keep it clean. That way I can come out of here with the points lead. So.
Yeah, and you may have, I think we're waiting on the full refresh, but obviously you and Neil having dueling it out, each taking a win, each taking a second place tonight. But that battle you had with him, let's go back to that first race for a second. He would come up, he'd pressure you, you'd gain a little bit through a few laps, but then that move going into that turn 4 hairpin late in that race, that catch you a little off guard? Were you being a little conservative on the brakes at that point, saving the car?
I just expected that I was a lot further out ahead of him than I was. I thought I was out of reach, and honestly the move kind of surprised me, and I was frustrated before I went back and looked at the replay, but I mean it was all good and clean and just hard racing. I just wasn't expecting it. Left the door open.
Yeah, it took us all a little bit by surprise, but it's great you guys can race clean. It looks like very respectful stuff, and that's obviously what this whole series is about. It's tough racing, you know, to take a win and then to come through and through the field like you did in that second race. It's never easy. The whole field looks like every pass is an absolute ton of work.
Yeah, it was difficult. Luckily, getting through traffic was pretty easy because everybody was kind of being predictable, so that's always appreciated. But yeah, second race strategy was just get through as fast as possible and try to maintain that gap because I knew that over the long run he was going to be faster than me, and I didn't want him to catch back up in the end. So
yeah, worked out just amazing. And now with technically three rounds through in the books, I think you and Neil are going to be pretty darn close, but you might have a couple of points advantage on him. But I know this whole season is going to come right down probably to bonus points and everything else right down to the end of the wire. We're looking forward to it. But tonight, great performance for you. But I know you've probably got teammates, sponsors, friends, family you want to give a mention to?
yeah, definitely not sponsors. So if you got money out there and you want to sponsor, bring it on. No, but as always, girlfriend Ashley, she's watching. My parents, other friends, they're all watching tonight. And then of course the guys at Velocity, Drake, Jasper, they were spotting me tonight. Logan, Ricky, Joe, all them, and then Steven was helping out a lot too throughout the week for me. So yeah, thankful for all them.
Yeah, no better way to ask for sponsors than come away with a victory. That's the best time to do it. So good luck finding somebody soon for you. But while it goes, at least you're getting victories along the way. Congrats, Noah, on your win here tonight. Velocity Motorsports, Noah Hogg. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go, Noah Hogg, who is currently your championship leader in GT3 by 5 points. With, of course, Neil Weston running second. Aaron Sunday, another 10 points back in third. All right, Larry, let's jump over now to LMP3 and your winner tonight in race number 2, driving the number 235 Ligier for the wrong stuff, Robert Schwinkler.
All right, Robert Schwenkler back in victory circle here in the last race of tonight. So welcome back. Tell us what it's like. You got that great win tonight in the second race. Before we We'll talk about the win before we talk about how that first race went.
Yeah, I mean, it went great. I mean, I had concerns that like Joe and Zach are super quick, and I was like, if I can just pull away, maybe I have a chance. And then I think they got caught up in traffic or something happened behind me, so I just put my head down and tried to focus. Yeah, I was really pleased with how that went. I put in a ton of practice. I was checking how many laps I did while you guys were interviewing the other guys, and I did 200 laps of practice, so it paid off.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, I don't know if you practiced that opening turn move in the second race. I was sitting here talking about how Josh Vidal might have had the advantage to be on the outside of that front row, and suddenly you made it 3 wide going into the first turn. I thought, well, that changes everybody's plans a little bit. I mean, to have the confidence to go to there on cold tires and then into turn 2 on the outside of cold tires has got to take a ton of practice on those types of situations.
Yeah, I actually did several AI races on purpose, so I could practice like offline passing and just getting caught up and stuff. So yeah, like I said, all that time paid off.
Yeah, it looked like it. But going back to the first race, that just looked like a lot of chaos. What did we see? Again, the opening lap, things happening, spins in front, and then of course you had the bump with the GT3 car happening up around the Lukey Heights corner. It just seemed like every moment you were back in the race, something else kind of hits you, bad luck or whatever it was.
Yeah, when I had the contact, I went back and watched it. It was so close, and I thought I left him enough room. And I'm glad I didn't affect his race too much. I obviously got the brunt of it. It's just one of those things, It was so chaotic and crazy. I think that's the craziest traffic I've ever had to navigate. It was pretty wild.
It looked like it, just absolutely nuts, which means when you set up for the second race, you got to be thinking it's going to be the same way. Then all of a sudden, a lap and a half in, you've got the lead and you're pulling away. And I don't say it looked easy, but it didn't look all that hard to be able to hold that with the traffic all stuff working up behind you. But the good news about all this, despite having all the chaos in the first race, you still got a third place finish. You get the win in the second race. I'm looking at the points updates, and you're only about 3 points back from Zach. So in second place, this is, here we are a couple rounds in. Now it's time to start focusing on the next one. You're going to start watching to see where Zach's at. Is it time to put 300 laps in the next race?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew going into it, I was already pretty close. I think coming into this race, we were 7 or 8 points apart. So yeah, I'm glad to close the gap. That was my goal. I wanted to get closer in the championship. So yeah, I'm going to put my head down and try to make it happen next week too. So.
We're excited to see that. I love seeing the work going in and see how that pays off. This has been super exciting between you and Zhao and Zach and Josh and Kyle, and you guys you battle so well, and it's exciting every single week. Looking forward to another one. But tonight was your night to get the win here in this the second round. Awesome job. But I know you've always got a big team behind you and sponsors and friends and family helping you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to Wrong Stuff team and all their support just in all this stuff. It's been great. Of course, our sponsors, VRS, UbiSafe, Dangerous, Abruzzi, SimCoach. I think I named them all this time. Oh, Ackerman Toyota. I knew I forgot one. And of course, shout out to friends and family watching. Their support means a lot to me, and they allow me to do this awesome hobby. So shout out to them.
Awesome job tonight. I'm sure everybody's going to be proud of you, the work you put in and the results that you got. So taking the win here in the second round, a third place the first round tonight. It's the Wrong Stuff for Robert Schwenkler. Congrats.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Robert. And yeah, Larry, he had to get in that Toyota dealership lest he lose that free Camry. Anyway, let's take a look here. We talked about our GT3 points leaders over in GT4. It's as close after 3 rounds as we thought it would be. Travis Schwenke with 190 points, Robert Hartley with 188, and Mike Dam with 187, with Dan Carrizo 10 points back from there. But wouldn't you know it, the guy who finished second in the first 2 rounds, just with the 1 win tonight, is your points leader. And then over in LMP3, it is Zach Hebert, your points leader, by 3 points over our guest, Robert Schwenkler, with Josh Vidal sitting 17 points back from there. All right, let's take a look at what we got coming up on the schedule in the next couple of weeks, Larry, as we wrap things up here from Phillip Island. In in 8 days' time, or is it 7 days? I guess it would be 8 days' time. Monday night, February 16th at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. You and I are going to be racking up the frequent flyer miles as we head to the northeast of Spain to Motorland Aragon for the first 90-minute race on the schedule of the Ricmotech World Challenge for LMP2, for GTP, and GT3 racers. And then in 2 weeks, the GT Pro Sports Car Challenge heads to Monza for 60 minutes on the clock. And then in 3 weeks, that's March 22nd, the World Challenge heads to Monza as well. And this one should be a good one, Larry. 75 minutes. But 75 minutes in the rain. So might not be the fastest race you've ever seen at Monza, but it should definitely be exciting. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Sam Fitzpatrick, sitting in for our good friend John Grabowski, and by the way, Jonathan, all the best to you and the lovely Vanessa, who we know is a little bit under the weather. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody.